Hey everyone, welcome back to Realpolitik. Today we're going to be talking about the latest developments in Ukraine for May the 8th, 2023. This is going to be a quick update. All right, so the Russians have launched a massive missile strike towards Kiev, and not just Kiev, but in Odessa and several cities have been targeted. Aerial alert sirens have gone off all over Ukraine. And Anyways, we're going to discuss that, but first, let's talk about Bakhmut. So basically, in Bakhmut, um, yeah, this map shows Bakhmut and then the gray zone. And from what I'm hearing, the Russians now control most of the gray zone. And Prigozhin, he has actually the head of Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin. He actually resolved his issues with the Russian military. Supposedly, the Russian military has agreed to send him all the ammunition he needs. And as well as that, the president of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, his elite units, the Ahmed Special Forces, have also arrived on the scene. So the Ukrainians are basically on the outskirts of Bakhmut now, and they don't control much at all, right? Maybe less than 5% now, maybe I don't know 3%, 2%, who knows? But basically, they're just holding on for dear life. And tomorrow is Victory Day, commemorating the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany in World War II. And the Wagner PMC is pushing forward, and they've launched a massive assault to push the Ukrainians out of the city. So, anyways, in regards to all those statements made by Prigozhin about Wagner leaving Bakhmut, they might eventually leave, but I think a lot of those statements were just, there might be disputes between Wagner and the Russian military, but in reality, Wagner takes orders from the Russian military. There's no doubt about it. And of course, there's going to be some disputes over, ammunition distribution, this, that, whatever. All their weapons, they receive all their weapons from from Russia, anyways. But I think a lot of it was theatrics because, Prigozhin made those statements, and then after Prigozhin made all those statements, right away, uh, right away, Ramzan Kadyrov and him agreed that Ramzan Kadyrov's his elite units would replace Wagner, and that happened really quickly. And then the issue was resolved really quickly as well. I think it's all theatrics. That's just my opinion. I think it's just a way they're playing psychological mind tricks. They're trying to with the Ukrainians, trying to convince them that the Russians are divided and they're weak, and that the Ukrainians have a chance. So when in reality, the Ukrainians, they control less than 5% of the city, and it's pretty much a done deal. Now, a counterattack notwithstanding, this phase of the battle for Bakhmut is pretty much a done deal, right? I don't see the Ukrainians turning the tide at this point unless they launch some kind of massive counteroffensive. But anyways, that's going to be difficult. But so yeah, the Russians, the Wagner PMC controls most of this gray zone you see here. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys a few videos of Bakhmut to give you an idea of what what it's like in the city. This is the aftermath of Russian airstrike, drone strikes. The Russians are using the TOS flamethrower, which is a very much feared weapon. It basically vaporizes people alive. And they're using Fab 500 GPS guided gliding bombs, which have a 1,000-pound warhead. So they're just basically the areas under Ukrainian control. They're basically wiping those areas off the map. Yeah, it's all been reduced to rubble. So, anyways, let's take a look at another video. And I'm not playing the sound for copyright purposes. Now, this is a Ukrainian armored vehicle in the city. A lot of armored vehicles get destroyed before they can even make it into Bakhmut. All the roads in and out of Bakhmut have been under fire control for a long time, and now the Russians physically control those roads. But there's some dirt roads, and going off road here and there, the Ukrainians are able to still send reinforcements in. According to Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Wagner, the Ukrainians are losing 400 to 600 soldiers a day, and they're sending that many into Bakhmut as replacements. And according to Prigozhin, the Russians are losing something like 100 troops a day. Now, that's just what Prigozhin says. Who knows if that's true, but I would take it with a pinch of salt, if not a bowl of salt. But yeah, you can see the city has been reduced to basically nothing. I mean, at this rate, a thought that crossed my mind is the Russians might as well nuke it, right? In World War II, the French, when they lost against the Germans, they declared Paris an open city to spare Paris from destruction. And but the Ukrainians are not doing that. They're making the Russians fight for every square inch, house by house, room by room. This is pretty much the Ukrainians. They're basically doing that. There's a method behind the madness. It basically discourages the attacker from wanting to go on further offensives, right? When the offensives are so costly and you end up with nothing but rubble, which you have to rebuild, makes you think, is it really worth it, right? So, anyways, let's look at another video. This is an area of Bakhmut that the Ukrainians still control, and they've been doing this for a while. This shows the Ukrainians demolishing several buildings that they controlled. So before they retreat, they demolish the building so that the Russians can't use the building as a vantage point. So the Russian snipers can't use it. They can't use it to correct artillery and whatnot. Yeah, the city's been reduced to dust and rubble. It's pretty sad. Anyways, let's look at another video here, the last one. This shows several Ukrainian soldiers basically withdrawing from their position. They withdraw from the building and leave as their position is seemingly overrun. Seems like there's a firefight going on. And a bunch of Ukrainian soldiers jump out the window and running to safety. Little do they know that they're being watched by a Russian reconnaissance drone. I guess they're lucky it's just a reconnaissance drone. Oh, we dropped something. Anyways, so there's that, and let's go back here, and so yeah, there's another Russian war blogger who's been targeted. I'm going to read this for you. Audi Q7 car carrying Russian journalist and politician. Oh, he's a politician. I thought he was a writer. Just a writer. Zakhar Prilepin was blown up by an IED in Nizhny Novgorod. The driver has reportedly been killed. However, he is apparently wounded. So this guy luckily survived. Some say he's severely wounded. Others say he's fine and his legs are injured. Who knows? But this is the second pro-Russian war vlogger that's been attacked in the last 2 days. And apparently they've captured the guy that's responsible. And oh yeah, recently the Russians captured a group of Ukrainian infiltrators, allegedly, and they were on their way to a airfield deep inside Russia to destroy several AWACS planes. AWACS planes are those planes with those dishes on the top, and they provide intelligence to fighter jets. But anyways, yeah, there's that. And yeah, so the Russians have launched, you can see with all these blue symbols that represent aerial alerts, right? Sirens going off. The Russians have launched missiles and drones all over Ukraine, specifically in Kiev. The Ukrainians are actually claiming that they have shot down 35 Geran 2s, or the Iranian, that are based on the Iranian Shahed 136 drones. So they say they've shot down 35, sorry. I would take that with a bowl of salt. They always make these claims, but they haven't provided any evidence. I'm sure if they had shot down that many, they would line them up, or all the scraps, and make a show out of it, but that's just my opinion. Um, Anyways, in Kiev, let's take a look at some of the footage, if I can. This is from Odessa, actually. Let's take a look at this. These pictures. And keep in mind, a lot of the time, air defense missiles go astray. And sometimes there's shrapnel and sometimes bullets that are shot into the air to shoot down these ground drones. They, what goes up must come down, so they can cause some damage as well. And sometimes at the same time, uh, drones are shot out of the air and they can, the remains of those drones can fly into a building, but sometimes they can hit the wrong target as well. And there's competing narratives when it comes to this. The Ukrainians say the Russians are purposely targeting civilians, but of course the Russians deny it, right? So anyways, this is in Kiev, I believe. Yes, this is in Kiev. 5 people wounded. Well, luckily they were not killed. Um, so yeah, there's that, and then what else? Let me see. So I'm gonna take a look at these pictures from Kiev. And by the way, in Ukraine, it's I believe it's illegal to take pictures of destroyed military facilities or anything like that. Um, in any case, let's take a look at the deployment map. If you look at the deployment map, basically the Ukrainians are building up their forces, and there's no doubt about it. The weather has improved during the last week or two, and the Ukrainians have sent some of their brigades, the newly formed brigades and units, closer to the front. So there's no doubt about it. They are going to launch their counteroffensive very soon. No one knows exactly when, but it's going to happen soon. And they've sent newly formed units closer to the front here, near Zaporizhia, and in Kherson, they're sending units closer to the front. And this gives the Russians an opportunity to target some of these units and equipment. But yeah, I want to show you guys another video. And this is a Caterpillar amphibious conveyor, it's called, armored vehicle. It's for transporting troops and equipment over rivers, for river crossings. Amphibious assaults is called the PTS-2 and it's loaded with a Humvee. Let's take a look at that. And they're just training, right? But this is, I wonder how many of these the Ukrainians have. But even if they have several dozen of them, like maybe 50, obviously they're going to try and conduct a large-scale river crossing, right? That's obvious. How successful will they be? We're going to have to wait and see. But the Russians are aware of this, so, and like I've said before, unlike last year, the Ukrainians don't have the numerical advantage. Um, the uh, the Russians are better prepared this time around, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Because training is one thing, right? But when you have an opponent, formidable opponent like the Russians with drones and with fighter jets and helicopters and launching ATGMs at you, right? It's a completely different story, and they're going to go over mines potentially. And I mean, a large river crossing, they'll probably be spotted, right? Anyways, let's look at there's been a lot of Lancet footage released recently. I'm just going to show you one or two. Aside from these, there's tons of other ones I haven't downloaded just from the last 2 days, right? There are tons. They're really doing a number on the Ukrainians. This is from, I think, less than an hour ago. Russian Lancet targeting a Ukrainian OSA air defense system. And by the way, I post all of these on my, I can't show you guys everything, but I post all of this on my Twitter. I'll put the link below for those of you who want to see more clips like this. Yeah, the Lancets are really on a rampage. Yeah, they are. I mean, you got to understand the Lancet drone costs what, 20 to 40,000 each, if even. And, something like the OSA costs several million. So even an M777 like this one, it costs something like, I'm going to make a compilation actually and release it. But I mean, an M777 costs like more than 6 million, right? So that's a trade-off that the Russians will do all day. And remember, anytime any Western equipment needs serious repairs, it has to go to Poland, 1,000 kilometers there, 1,000 kilometers back. Right? So that's a logistics issue the Ukrainians have to deal with. And I'll show you one more. A Ukrainian MLRS, multiple launch rocket system targeted by Lancet. It seems the Russians have really found their niche using Lancets and Geran 2s and as well as the Fab 500s. They have thousands of Fab 500s in their stockpiles, and their dumb bombs. All they do is it's. I heard it's really cheap for the cost of one cruise missile. They can upgrade 200 Fab 500s with modernization kits, which turn the dumb bombs into GPS guided gliding kits. They can be launched from 70 kilometers away. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. And please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.